Hello, Mrs. Mayo's class. This is the first part in a three-part series about the citations for your American Lit research paper. In this section, this segment, we're going to cite your primary source. That is the short story or the text, depending on what author you are using, whatever text you'll be citing throughout your paper as you explore this author's work. So I'm here in Noodle Tools. You guys have already created a project with Mrs. Mayo, so I'm here under Sources at the tab, and I'm going to go and click on New Source. The first decision that's needed to be made is where is your text coming from? And we have five choices here: a database, a website, printer in hand, view or heard live, and then file, app, ebook, and then actually what we would consider as an other. Uh, for many of you, you may have actually been given this um, book or at least the short story as a file. And that might have been something that was sent to you. That's actually what I'll use as an example. I have a PDF scan here of the lottery, and this was provided to me from Mrs. Mayo. That is, it's from this collection. However, even though it sounds like this is a file, really we're going to be citing the original book that it was from. You would only use file, app, or ebook if you had found it out on the internet. But in this case, what you kind of did was borrow the book from Mrs. Mayo, and so we want to cite that book, especially because we have all the information for it. So we're actually going to use print or in hand. Now, if your primary text came from a website and it wasn't from printer in hand, but you actually went somewhere and then even if you printed it off, but originally it was from that website, you'd cite it as a website. There in the third video, or I'm sorry, in the second video, I'll talk about how you can cite a website. And of course, you would select website here. We're going to go ahead though and click print or in hand. And then we have to decide, and the second question is very important. Both of these questions are important because if we do make the wrong choice, we end up with the wrong citation. So it's worth taking the time to kind of consider and think, hey, wait, what do I have? And if you don't know what you have, ask Mrs. Mayo or ask somebody around you, ask a peer for help, or you can email me and say, I don't know what this is. What should I use to cite it? And I'll get back to you. So we're selecting printer in hand. Now I have to take a look at it and decide, okay, is it a book or is it an anthology or collection? Many of you are going to choose the anthology or collection because an anthology collection would be a whole bunch of short stories all put together. And sometimes they're even by different authors, and that's what you would choose. The only way you would choose book is if you're truly doing a novel. You have something in your hand that is a complete work by one author, and that's what you'll be using. So again, many people will be selecting anthology and collection. So once I make the selection, we can begin the process of filling in the blanks. And I'm working here at, I guess I will mention that as far as the level needed for citation, I set this up at the junior level. If you did choose the advanced level, as far as the citation style, you may have some more blanks than I have here. The junior level is typically all we need for high school, but from time to time we do need to use that advanced level. So we have basically a few different sections, and this is how the citation itself is really broken up or nested. Basically, when they talk about nesting it, they're talking about each of these. Okay, first I have to cite the story. Then I have to cite the book that the story is in, the anthology or collection. And then on top of that, um, we'll we'll put in, and you'll see we'll leave some of these sections blank. So this first part isn't too difficult. I'm going to be citing The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. I know it's by Shirley Jackson. Noodle Tools will give you warnings if it thinks that you have messed something up. And so make sure that you just take a look at those. If something pops up, if I were to accidentally use lowercase, it gives me a warning there. So those are worth paying attention to, as they might save you points. You'll want to change the contributor to the author of your book. It won't save your citation unless you choose specifically the role of the name that you're putting in here. If you have a suffix, go ahead and put that in. That would be like a junior or a third, and also a middle name. If it's available, you would put it in there. The title of the specific work is The Lottery. And then finally, the year the specific work was introduced or published. I'm going to jump back here to the original copy that we have. And we're told right here, you can see it if you zoom in. Chilling Tale was published originally as a short story in the New Yorker in 1948 and was later adapted for both stage and television. Sometimes, rather than have it written in the text, this book just happens to have it there. Sometimes they will have it at the beginning. Let's go back and see. Sometimes it would be somewhere like right here. It would say, The Lottery, 1948, or something like that. Instead, they included it in the in kind of the text to set the story up. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in. At this point, I'm done with the information about the story specifically, so I don't have to put in very much for that. Now I need to cite the collection itself. That is the book. And first, it asks for the page numbers. So we see it starts on page 135 and goes to page, let's see, 144. And contributors to the anthology as a whole. So here we're looking at the person who basically put this whole book together. This is not Shirley Jackson again. These are typically, especially in an anthology or collection, the editors of the book. Or if there were, other pieces or other kind of roles that people would have, but editor is what we need right here. Now, if you have two editors, you may need to hit the Add Contributor button. So if your original has a second editor, then you'll go ahead and put that in. So to find all this info, we need to actually look at the book cover and the info that is here on the inside of the book. And you can see we're listed, basically you're looking for kind of the editor in charge. They list a lot of editors. We've got the editorial director, the senior editors, the editor assistants. We're not listing everybody's name. It clearly seems like Julie Schumacher was in charge. She's the one with her name at the top. She's getting the top billing. Now, if there were two people listed here, like there are right below that, we would list both of them. But this person is going to get the main credit for editing. CH. And double check the spelling. If you're not sure, make sure that you are spelling not just your author's name needs to be spelled right, of course, but also the other people who contributed to the book. So what's the name or the title? I'm gonna have to go back up here. It's called American Short Stories, 1920 to the Present. So 1920s. Make sure we got that right. Oh, 1922 to the present. Oh, I was looking at the series title. I'm sorry. So the name of it is actually American Short Stories. 1920 to the present. We use that many voices in just a moment. Volume or volume number. You would only use these if they were listed. They're not clearly identified. There's nowhere where it says volume 1 or volume 1 of 3 or anything like that. So we get to leave those blank. The publisher we do need, and the year. So we're going to find that on the inside cover. Probably going to have to zoom in here again. It looks like it was published by Perfection Learning Corporation. And we will check the year here is 2003. It says publication city if needed. You're not required to put this in, so I don't like to put in any information unless we absolutely have to and some of your sources, this could be hard to find, so it's not worth really putting in. We do have the edition in the series name, and I already kind of mentioned uh, that this is kind of clearly labeled as part of a series. You can tell that from the front cover. I'll go back just a bit here, but you see how this is called Many Voices Literature, and right up here at the top, that gives us an indication that this is part of some kind of series that this publisher has put together. It's not an edition statement. If there was an edition statement, it said, fifth edition or new edition or something like that. All we would do is write that right there. And some of your books will say that. Some of them may not have a series name that's very obvious. And again, you get to skip that if it's not available. But if it is there, it would need to go in. So you do have to sort of make the call on that. At this point, we're done with the citation. We've got in the information about the short story, the pages it's on, the information about the edition of the book that we're using, and all we have to do is hit save. I'll review that real quickly then. You'll see there's our citation. So we have Jackson, Shirley, The Lottery, published in 1948. It was in the American Short Stories, 1920 to the present, which was edited by Julie A. Schumacher, published by Perfection Learning Corporation in 2003, and it appears on pages 135 to 144. Notice how the 144 is missing. It automatically, if those first numbers are the same, it automatically cuts that out. That is part of the MLA format, and it's why it looks like that. You might think it's wrong, or you made a mistake, or I made a mistake, but that is not the case. Then the last thing listed is the series name, Many Voices Literature. So all of that will allow you now to, in your paper, you can now cite Shirley Jackson when you want to use quotes, and you'll refer back to to her writing. When you use her name, it'll let us know that you're referring to this work, and if I needed to find a copy of it, I could locate one here. All right, and again, that is your primary source. I'll follow this video up to talk about citing journal articles and using some of those databases. Many of the databases have some shortcuts to help you cite, and we'll talk a little bit about websites in the next video. So see you then.